You made a decision last week you thought was yours. It wasn't. Someone designed the conditions that produced it. The framing of the offer, the timing, the social pressure present in the room, the artificial scarcity, the authority signals they wore like a costume. You felt like you were thinking. You were being steered. Meanwhile, Frank Abagnale successfully impersonated an airline pilot, a doctor, and a lawyer across 26 countries before age 21. No training in any field. No credentials. No connections. Just a precise understanding of how human trust operates at the neurological level. He didn't fool stupid people. He fooled pilots, physicians, lawyers, and federal agents. People with advanced degrees and decades of professional experience. Same brain hardware as everyone he deceived. The exploits weren't custom. They were universal. The same vulnerabilities exist in your brain right now, operating exactly as he predicted they would. I'm about to show you exactly what those vulnerabilities are. Not so you can exploit them. So nobody can ever exploit them in you again. Chapter 1. The authority costume. Here's the single most reliable manipulation technique documented in psychological literature. It works on almost everyone, almost every time, regardless of intelligence. In 1963, psychologist Stanley Milgram ran the most disturbing experiment in the history of social science. Ordinary people were instructed by a figure in a white lab coat to administer electric shocks to another person. The shocks escalated to levels labeled on the machine as danger, severe shock. The person receiving them screamed, begged for it to stop, went silent. 65% of participants administered the maximum shock, not because they were cruel, because a man in a white coat told them to continue and used 4 specific phrases. Please continue. The experiment requires that you continue. It is absolutely essential that you continue. You have no other choice. You must go on. No physical force, no threats, no incentives, a costume, and 4 sentences. 65% of ordinary people did something they believed was potentially killing another person. The white coat is not the point. The white coat is any authority signal, a title, a uniform, a credential displayed prominently, an association with a trusted institution, a confident delivery that assumes compliance before it's offered. Abagnale understood this completely. He didn't convince people he was a pilot. He wore the uniform and let the uniform do the convincing. The human brain outsources trust evaluation to surface signals because evaluating actual competence takes time and expertise most people don't have. Evolution built a shortcut. Authority signals equal safety. Follow authority signals. The shortcut works often enough that it survived. It fails catastrophically and predictably when someone deliberately wears the signal without the substance. Your defense is one question asked before any compliance. What is the actual source of this person's authority in this specific domain? Not their general status, not their confidence, their specific demonstrated competence in the exact area where they are directing you. If you cannot answer that question with specifics, the costume is doing work the substance cannot do. Chapter 2. The social proof trap. Here's the second universal exploit, more powerful than authority in most modern contexts, and almost completely invisible while it's operating. Psychologist Robert Cialdini spent years documenting the 6 principles of influence. Social proof sits at the foundation of almost all of them. When people are uncertain what to do, they look at what other people are doing and treat that as evidence of the correct action. This is not stupidity. In most circumstances, it is genuinely efficient. If everyone is running in the same direction, there's probably something worth running from. The heuristic works. Until someone manufactures the crowd. Televised laugh tracks were invented for one specific reason. People laugh more at jokes they hear other people laughing at, not because they become funnier, because social proof signals that laughter is the appropriate response and the brain complies before evaluation completes. The laugh track is fake. The laughter it produces is real. The mechanism is that reliable. Cults use this systematically. New members aren't exposed to doctrine first. They're exposed to a room full of happy, confident, socially welcoming people who already believe. The social environment produces a felt sense of validity before a single claim is examined. By the time doctrine arrives, the social proof has pre-sold it. Questioning the doctrine feels like questioning the people. Questioning the people feels like social rejection. Social rejection activates the same neural pain pathways as physical injury. Most people stop questioning. Online manipulation runs the same code. Manufactured reviews. Purchased. Followers. Coordinated engagement signals. Your brain reads these as genuine social proof because it cannot distinguish manufactured consensus from real consensus at the speed social media moves. By the time analysis could occur, the emotional response has already landed. Your defense: separate the social signal from the underlying claim completely. Ask not how many people believe this, but what is the specific evidence for the claim independent of how many people accept it. Popularity and accuracy are independent variables. They always have been. The most consequential errors in human history were consensus positions. Hit subscribe before you forget. The next chapter is the most uncomfortable one because it is about you specifically. Chapter 3. The identity exploit. Here's the manipulation technique that defeats intelligent people most consistently because it bypasses the evaluation system entirely by going underneath it. Every person has a self-concept, a set of beliefs about who they are: honest, generous, smart, open-minded, loyal. These identity labels feel like descriptions. They function as commitments. And anyone who knows this can use your identity to steer your behavior with surgical precision. Cialdini documented the commitment and consistency principle. Once a person has taken a position or performed an action, they experience powerful psychological pressure to behave consistently with that position, regardless of whether it continues to serve them. The pressure comes from two sources: external. Others will see you as inconsistent, unstable, or untrustworthy if you change. Internal. Your self-concept requires consistency to maintain integrity. Both pressures operate below conscious awareness. Con artists use a technique called the foot in the door. Start with a small request so reasonable that refusal feels unreasonable. Get compliance. Now the target has identified themselves as someone who helps, cooperates, or participates. The next request is slightly larger. Compliance again. Identity reinforced. The requests escalate. Each compliance makes the next refusal psychologically costlier. By the time the target reaches a request, they will have refused immediately if presented first. They've built an identity around compliance that makes refusal feel like self-betrayal. Sales professionals are trained in this structure. Get a yes on something small first, always. Not because the small yes has direct value, because it installs an identity that generates the large yes later. Cold recruitment follows identical architecture. The first ask is always social. Come to a dinner. Just dinner. No commitment, no doctrine. Come to a second dinner. Come to a weekend retreat, just to experience it. By the time commitment is requested explicitly, the target has already behaved like a member for 3 months. Identity has been built through behavior. The explicit commitment just labels what behavior has already established. Your defense is a commitment audit practiced regularly. Examine the sequence of small commitments that led to your current large ones. Identify whether each commitment was chosen freely under clear conditions or extracted through escalating sequences designed to leverage previous compliance. The sequence itself is the evidence. Genuine opportunities rarely require a chain of small preliminary commitments. Manipulation almost always does. Here's the problem, though. You can spot authority costumes. You can separate social proof from evidence. You can audit your commitment sequences. And you will still be vulnerable to the one influence technique that works regardless of how sophisticated your defenses become: scarcity and urgency, combined simultaneously. Neuroscientist Benedetto De Martino at University College London ran brain imaging studies on decision-making under time pressure and scarcity framing. When subjects perceive limited availability combined with limited time, activity in the prefrontal cortex dropped measurably. The rational evaluation system partially went offline. Limbic system responses dominated. Decisions became faster, less analytical, and dramatically more manipulable. This is not a design flaw. It is evolutionary logic. In an environment of genuine scarcity, fast action prevents loss. The brain treats perceived scarcity as real scarcity because historically the cost of treating real scarcity as perceived was starvation. The shortcut survived. Every salesperson, marketer, and con artist alive knows it works and knows exactly how to manufacture the perception. Limited time offer. Only 3 remaining. This price expires tonight. 27 people viewing this item right now. Every one of these phrases is designed to activate the same neurological response that evolved to prevent you from starving when food was actually scarce. Your brain cannot tell the difference between manufactured urgency and real urgency at the speed these signals arrive. By the time analysis catches up, the emotional response has already pushed toward compliance. The defense is absolute and simple. Any genuine opportunity that disappears if you take 24 hours to evaluate it is not an opportunity you should take. Real opportunities withstand examination. Manufactured urgency cannot survive it. The pressure to decide before thinking is always evidence that thinking would produce a different decision. Treat urgency itself as a warning signal rather than a call to action. To keep it simple, stupid. Verify the actual source of authority before any compliance. Separate social proof from underlying evidence completely. Audit commitment sequences that led to your current positions. And treat artificial urgency as the manipulation signal it always is. You were never gullible. You were never weak. You were running biological hardware that evolved before anyone systematically studied how to exploit it. Now you know the exploits. Now you can patch them. But here's the thing. Manipulation defenses only work when your thinking is running at full capacity. A tired, cognitively overloaded brain loses access to these defenses exactly when it needs them most. That's why I made this video breaking down the exact system for optimizing your brain's daily performance so your best thinking is available precisely when the stakes are highest. It's almost unfair. Watch it next.